Look at this beauty, folks. Look at this beauty. Why are these banks so beautiful? There's a little bit right over there. It's kind of far from me, but I don't want to get too close and spook it. I scanned a long way down the bank to find this first bed, and I will try my best. I'll stay far. I'll throw little jigs. I'll fish the edges first. I'll even turn off the trolling motor to try to eke as many fish out of this bed as I can. Because I drove a long way, I got soaked on the way. It was borderline dangerous to drive. It was actually dangerous to drive. My wiper blades for 5 minutes couldn't wipe the water fast enough. And then I come and all of these beds from last year are empty. I don't know if somebody emptied them. I don't know if fish emptied them like bass and catfish. Decent bijik. I don't want to come across greedy, but I hope I catch something bigger today. But this was right on the edge here in 3 feet of water. The bed goes down the slope and deeper. After I catch the first fish on the edge, I'm gonna pull up a little bit closer to fish the deeper part of the bed. But I made a long drive. I'm not gonna tell you how long. And I can tell you that I already know, due to pressure, I'm not gonna fish more than 2 good beds today. 2 good beds. I'm gonna catch fish from maybe 7, 8, 10 beds. But a lot of the beds have 1 or 2 fish on them. Either due to some kind of pressure, and while I'm full of negativity towards inappropriate human harvest, I honestly don't think, if I had to bet my money, I don't think that human harvest is not only all the problem, but I don't know if it's even half the problem, because see, second fish already better. Already better. Now this is a good bluegill. This is a good chunky piece of steak right here. Nah, judges, look at the Alabama Gold. Dangly tail should be here next week. God willing, I'm afraid to make a forecast anymore. Who can forecast anything today? Tell me about fishing, finance, economy, war. Who can forecast anything today? But let's not go there. Where was I, man? Yeah, I don't think human harvest is probably not even half of the real problem. Real problem is that the first beds usually get on some points or something. 3 fish on 3 casts right in front of me. This is why I don't get closer. And I throw the 1 gram jigs first with the 0.10 millimeter line. These beds here, folks, on a point. This lake has 3 types of catfish and 4 types of bass. Every night, when the human molesters leave the lake and the water calms down, all of the bass and catfish come out on these points and chase these fish around. So you have to stay objective as you can. Nobody is too objective. This is a Soare bluegill, not Presso. They're blacked out like the new Vanquish CE. Should we call this a Vanquish CE bluegill? Soare is kind of old. This is the Vanquish CE bluegill with a blacked out spool over here. 3 bluegill on 3 casts. 3 bluegill on 3 casts. Uncut video so far. Yeah, you make a bluegill over here. Who makes a bluegill bed right on a point? If you have any concern about your fry, you wouldn't make a bed here. You would make it at the bottom of the cove behind some tree or something like that. And those might survive. They will survive bass and catfish for sure. Humans, they might not survive. Some of them survive humans too, because it's too difficult to cast right under a tree. I've seen them bed. You see the tree overhanging over there? They bed right under the tree. That's where the bed is. Uncut video, 4 casts, 4 fish. This is why this treasure is worth. Look at this beauty. This beautiful fish is worth. These lakes are worth different protection, folks. Not government protection, not public property protection. Public property protection is never sufficient. A little bit smaller, but boy, did he rip on the bite. He ripped good. He ripped good. A little bit short. I want them a little bit longer. 9 inches is where I start to get the giggles. 8 inches I catch at my home lake too. But 9 inches starts to give me the shivers, you know what I mean? See if they keep going like this. It's funny also, this Alabama gold color, which is probably one of my 2 favorite colors for fishing very shallow water. For shallow water, Alabama gold, and the other one is gold pumpkin. They're all gold. But both colors are almost the same color as the water. How can the fish see this? But they see it. They see it well. And now that I have aquarium, I have some in-person observations that are very valuable from this aquarium. The eyesight of the fish is far better than we assume, even in stained water. I don't know how it works. I think they have very fine-tuned vision for contrast, but they see really well. And since I learned that, I started heavily preferring natural colors in shallow water. Even if the water is stained, still I prefer natural colors. It has to be some really nasty milk for me to go high-vis color like a chartreuse. If I really want to get contrast in shallow water, I'm going to throw black, because black is high-vis and natural. But I really started preferring colors like this guy here that I thought were too difficult to see before. But let me tell you about my very fat already long-eared sunfish. That thing, folks, I put the 55-gallon aquarium in our living room. Pretty big living room. no furniture, very little furniture in it, just a TV and a couch. Empty room, nobody really does anything there. It's an empty room, kind of a waste of a space, but why do I go on these tangents? But it's a big room, and when the aquarium is on one end of the room, folks, when I enter the room from the door or the entrance on the other side of the living room, Sanchu, my long-eared sunfish, sees me and he runs right up to the glass. And he's like this, hoping that I will throw him a worm or some piece of boiled eggs or fried eggs or something. That's the only thing other than living things like worms, bugs, any kind of insects on the surface of the water he loves. But the only food that I know from our house that he will eat other than living things is eggs. Any kind of eggs. Fried, yolk, whites, boiled, yolk, white, it doesn't matter. Eggs, he eats eggs like a pig, like an absolute pig. He will stuff his face until he cannot, he starts to poop and kind of regurgitate at the end. But that sunfish, folks, can see me 10 feet out. No, not 10 feet, more than 10 feet out, maybe 15 feet out from a freaking aquarium. Granted, I have gin clear water in the aquarium, but that fish can see me from so far. He can recognize me and run up to the glass. Now this might be copper nose. I think this is copper nose. The geometry here is different. Very tall fish. Look at this fish. Now, if I put it on the scale, it's not going to be 9 inches. But this is an impressive fish, I believe, anywhere but Texas. You people in Texas, you just go fishing to make the rest of the country angry. Yeah, in Texas, they show me these ugly big things. In Tennessee, this is a big bluegill, even though it's not a 9-incher. Oh! Yeah, the fish have far better vision than we think. Far better. So, when you fish shallow, my advice to you is go natural and don't worry too much about visibility. It's better to be natural. The other thing is, I told you, why natural? How picky, whoa, how picky this little sunfish is. You give him the right food, he will eat until he passes out. I mean, he will eat and poop and eat again. They have no stopping. But give him bacon, no. Give him salami, no. Cheese, no. What else? Bread. He will eat bread but spit it out. Okay, we gotta put an end to this. We gotta put an end to this one. This is a bad boy. This guy is rowdy. And a lot of the foods he is not used to. So you throw something in the water, he will come right away and turn around. Why did he turn around? He will come and turn around. You'd think a fish would even try something. He would come and turn around, man, recognize something, turn around. Does not eat salami. No salami. Can you believe this? Sunfish, long-eared sunfish at least, is not a bluegill. Bluegill will eat anything, just pretty much anything but dirt. Anything organic, a bluegill will eat it. But sunfish, I catch them exclusively under some rocks or something like this. Trees, some vertical banks under the rock. And they are used to park under the roof of some rock, wait for something swimming by or sinking, some bug, and they ambush Oh, lost it. And it's very important for them to hit something that's alive. Let's see what happened here. Ooh, that is a lucky bluegill. That is a lucky bluegill. Yo, some swirl right over there. Let's cast on top of the swirl. Hopefully it's not a catfish. Sometimes the bite is good, and it stops all of a sudden. And you're wondering, what the hell happened? And then 10-15 minutes later, the bite is on again. They have these big bass or catfish will come and spook everything. This thing is different. Heavy but doesn't run. Feels like a piece of grass or a branch. Could have been a branch. Maybe twice in a row I'm snagging not real fish but some grass there. Need to be more careful. There is weeds starting to grow. I don't think the last two things were a fish because it didn't really pull. But yeah, fish can see, and some of the fish, I don't want to talk about bluegill, haven't observed bluegill, but some of the fish are extremely picky. They can be picky. Now this one is actually hitting, not snagging something. This is a real fish. But there is something on the drop-off that will eat my super glued dangly tail for sure if I keep dragging it on the bottom. Usually when the bite slows down, you slow down. You start, instead of fishing fast and on top of the bottom, you start fishing slower and slower. You start dragging the jig on the bottom, and that's where fatalities, BG1 fatalities occur. This is another Vanquish CE bluegill. A Vanquish CE bluegill. Get back in there, buddy. I got recently I posted one video where I was critical of the harvesting rules, and particularly critical of the fact that there is no special harvest limits for people like me with boats and electronics. And tackle, forget about the tackle. But if you have a boat and electronics, you need a special fishing license that should be 300, 500 a year, and you need special harvest limits. We don't need to. People took it the wrong way, even though I explained very clearly, if you watch the video, that I was not talking about the grandfather fishing from the bank that lucked out and cast on top of some bed, and he was with his grandson and they took 5 big bluegill home and they showed to the wife. I'm not talking about these people. These people cannot damage the lake. What can these people catch? You cannot damage any lake by fishing from the bank. There is just not enough access to hurt a lake by fishing from the bank. But I was very critical of people like me with boats and electronics paying the same fishing license and having the same harvest limits, like, let's say, realistic fishing, or that grandfather with the grandson fishing from the bank. That's absolutely ridiculous. These things have to be adjusted. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, if you support harvest or you think harvest should be reduced. These two groups of people cannot be treated the same way. People with the boats and the electronics, you can make their licenses 300 a year and they will pay it. They will pay it because without live scope, most fools cannot catch anything. They will go and leave negative comments on your videos, but they will pay the $300 because without LiveScope they are nothing. Seen this, I've given this example before, but as a professional crappie angler from Illinois who had a YouTube channel before LiveScope, and he would publish his videos from the tournaments because they were getting a lot of views, and he would publish the skunks too. And that guy would go on the best crappie lakes in the country on tournament day with a partner, with side imaging and all kinds of stuff where they're trying their best. And on tournament day, they skunked. They couldn't catch one fish. He posted this video on the channel. Professional anglers cannot catch one crappie on tournament day. Yep, and go check the tournament results from before LiveScope. You're always gonna have a bunch of people who didn't weigh a single fish, didn't catch any fish. Many people didn't catch a limit. These people will pay anything. They will pay $1,000 a year to fish with LiveScope because they know without LiveScope they're nothing. And you can count me in this group too. I don't care. Another copper nose, I think. Amazing fish. They will pay it. These are the people that have to pay for Department of Natural Resources managing the lake, for putting fish structure, for stocking the lakes, for all of the fishing licenses. Fishing from the bank should be free, to tell you the truth, for the most part, not everywhere, but, or let them have a cheap license, like $10 per year license for fishing from the bank. Fishing from the boat with a LiveScope needs a different license, and even when you give them different license, there should be a limit per boat. Man, why do I go on these tangents?